My name is John DeMichelle, and I'm the CEO of the Toronto Real Estate Board. Thank you. Always nice to get an applause for having a job. It's my pleasure to welcome you to today's Economic Summit, which marks the release of our third annual Market Year in Review and Outlook Report. This year's report continues the conversation on housing and transportation diversity in the GTA and the Greater Golden Horseshoe more broadly. And I believe the report and today's presentations will provide you with a deeper understanding of some of the key policy issues facing our region today. A hard copy of the report will be made available to you on your way out this afternoon. You'll also be able to view it online at trebhome.com or through social media starting at 12 p.m. today. TREB members can check their inbox or download their copy on Stratus this afternoon as well. I'd like to invite our social media savvy guests to follow us on Twitter at TrebHome and to join in today's conversation by using the hashtag TrebOutlook. Before we discuss the report in more detail, I'd like to sincerely thank our President, Tim Sirianos, and the entire Board of Directors for the support of this report. Thanks also to TREB staff for their very, very hard work in pulling this report and event together. And despite the weather, it's great to see so many people in the audience, so thank you for making the trip in. Your attendance today is a clear message that you understand the importance of this report and its wider implications. Today is an opportunity for you to use the content as a foundation and to continue the discussion once we leave the meeting. While the presentations and the bulk of the report focus on residential real estate, we can't forget how crucial commercial real estate is to our national and regional economic engine. And I'd like to thank those members of the commercial sector in attendance for joining us today. Thanks also to representatives in attendance from government, real estate and related industry organizations, real estate boards and associations, and those from the public sector. You're an important part of the overall framework. I'd also like to point out that while Ontario Finance Minister, the Honourable Charles Sousa, was scheduled to speak here today, an unexpected rescheduling of a cabinet event by the Premier has prevented him from joining us. Minister Sousa is sorry, and he had to send his regrets. Today's presentation is meant to give us a sense not only of where the real estate market currently stands and where it's heading, but also of the important role transportation infrastructure and the movement of goods and people plays in connecting our communities. Creating a better, integrated, multimodal transportation network is crucial to the quality of life for all people living across the region. This year's report features new research and data from our partners, including CD Howe, whose research focuses on mobility more broadly. And we also have the Toronto Region Board of Trade, which parses out the movement of goods and people concept. This new research does more than shed light on the issues we face. It also gives us help to serve as a possible template for innovative, evidence-based, and practical solutions to the infrastructure problems we face today. And we've all been there, stuck in gridlock for hours as we commute from our home to our place of work and back. How many people remember that jackknife trailer here at Leslie? I started backing up on the 427. They didn't clear it for hours. We need to consider traffic management. Traffic congestion is a serious issue in our region, and as we seek to create new and necessary public transit networks for the near future, it's important that we don't lose sight of the fact that cars aren't going anywhere anytime soon. We need to make a concerted effort to develop traffic management solutions for our roads and highway systems. I saw this firsthand when I was in Dallas and Chicago. They designed their roads to be very efficient. They want to maximize efficiencies. So the HOV lanes in these cities, in the mornings, the HOVs go into the city. At night, the HOVs come out of the city. They have it down. They build their highways in a way that we don't consider. For instance, when they do an upgrade, you still drive on the highways that you're driving on. The other highways are built here. They actually try to respect the people who are working and living and firing up the economic engines. Gridlock is a real problem, and these things that I just talked about are basic solutions, and I know I've said this before too. Our solution is to take a 6-lane road like Don Mills and at rush hour can compact it to 4, right? So here are some of the stats about our transportation network that needs our attention. While Toronto and the GTA at large continue to rank high on the list of the safest and most desirable places to live and work in the world, and you may have read the report in the Star that we're the second most livable country in the world, and also there was a CNBC survey done in the fall, I believe, that ranked Toronto and Vancouver in the top 10 of most livable cities, so it's not a surprise that people want to come here. But we've also topped up the list for some of the worst bottlenecks, traffic bottlenecks in North America. According to CAA, a stretch of the 401 that runs through the central part of Toronto is one of the most clogged arteries in North America. The worst bottlenecks can result in 11.5 million hours worth of delays and waste about 22 million liters of fuel per year, let alone the productivity problems. Also, studies show that services such as Uber and now Lyft add to the vehicles on our roads. Some people say anywhere between 20,000 to 40,000 extra vehicles on our roads simply because people who want to drive for these companies will come from outside to drive on our roads. And the advent of the autonomous vehicle will also add to the number of cars, and I'll just ask you, and you don't have to answer, but I'll ask anyway. Do you think autonomous cars will have more cars on the road, will cause more cars to be on the road, or less? Consider someone who's stuck in their home, can't drive anymore, has lost their license, and an autonomous vehicle will put them back on the road. Although I heard a funny thing the other day at Inman. They were saying if you buy an autonomous vehicle, when you sleep at night, it will be an Uber and just drive people around. So as the region continues to prioritize attracting large number of new immigrants, which we see, and with the population of the greater Golden Horseshoe forecast to increase by 4 million people in the next 25 years, it's important to get ahead of these traffic management issues now, as they become even less manageable daily. While there is good work being done with people like Metrolinx and the like, we need to do more things that will help today. And this will direct us into the future. With this in mind, TREB approached regional and municipal governments to better understand what policymakers have planned to solve these transportation issues and create better networks. You'll find the responses in the report, so thank you all to all those who sent in a response. And on that note, I'm going to hand the podium over to TREB President Tim Sirianos. Tim will share his take on what this report means to realtors and continue on as your host for today's event. This will guide us through today's presentations. Over to you, Tim.
Small adjustment here, not quite as tall as John. Thank you, John, for your introduction and for taking the lead on creating such an insightful report and opening such an important dialogue. Good morning, everyone. As John mentioned, I'm Tim Sirianos, and I'm the president of the Toronto Real Estate Board. I'd first like to echo John's remarks and thank everyone in the audience today, as well as our entire board of directors and staff, for supporting the project and today's event. I would also like to acknowledge the past presidents of the Toronto Real Estate Board who have joined us here today. Welcome, and thank you for your continued support of TREB initiatives. A special thank you also to those who contributed to this report and today's speakers for their efforts. When I look around the room, it is obvious just how valuable this report and today's presentations are to the various industries and sectors represented here today. Thank you for being here. I'm especially excited about this report because, as a brokerage owner myself, I can appreciate what its contents will do for the over 50,000 TREB members in the GTA who work every day to assist their clients in achieving the dream of home ownership or in facilitating business transactions. With this report and today's event, we're presenting our members and those who want to better understand the real estate market with real estate value that equips realtors, industry stakeholders, and the public with the latest intelligence on the residential, rental, new homes, and commercial real estate markets. This year, TREB has incorporated hard data from Altus Group, which explores the true impact of the real estate industry on our economic engine. Each real estate transaction generates thousands of dollars in economic spin-offs for both the private and public sectors, and I'd invite you to read the summary provided in the report. This report is also full of other first-class research from TREB and Ipsos, including a digestible recap of how the housing market unfolded over the past year, the impact of housing policies, a forecast for the year ahead in 2018, and a snapshot of the recent and intending homebuyer preferences. You'll also hear from TREB's Director of Market Analysis, Jason Mercer, as well as Sean Simpson from Ipsos, and Matthew Bucall of Altus Group. Together, they will provide us with a comprehensive overview of some of the main themes regarding the housing market as outlined in this year's report. You can't put a price on this kind of knowledge, and I'm proud that TREB has the opportunity to share it with you today. Plus, this year's report presents a fresh possible solution to the long-standing issue of the GTA's housing supply crunch. Research by the Canadian Centre for Economic Analysis will focus on the conversation on the missing middle housing, the shortage of available family-oriented housing that fall between detached houses and high-rise apartments. We're also fortunate enough to have Consia President and CEO Paul Smetinen join us today to share this research with you firsthand. Before I introduce our first set of speakers, I'd like to remind you that should you have any questions about today's proceedings, please email them to economicsummit@trebnet.com, and a TREB staff member will get back to you. It's now my pleasure to kick off our event and introduce our first speakers of the day. TREB's Jason Mercer, Sean Simpson of Ipsos, and Matthew Bucall of Altus Group, who will discuss the market in 2017, what to expect in 2018, the results of a TREB-commissioned Ipsos consumer surveys, and the new home and residential land segments. Sean Simpson is Vice President of Ipsos Public Affairs. He leads Ipsos public opinion polling specialization, including conducting research on political, economic, consumer, and social trends. Sean's clients include corporations, NGOs, governments, and industry associations. Sean is the media spokesperson for Ipsos in Canada and is featured regularly in the news, and leads Ipsos' relationship with its media partner, Global News. Our very own Jason Mercer is the Toronto Real Estate Board's Director of Market Analysis and Service Channels. He leads TREB's Market Analysis program that provides products and services to help realtors and their clients fully understand trends in the GTA housing market and its underlying economic drivers. Jason also manages the delivery of information and data products to TREB's membership. Matthew Bucall is a Senior Director of Altus Data Solution and is responsible for product strategy, geographic expansion, and new product development, focusing on residential products including the RealNet New Home platform, the Firm Report, and housing industry relationships. Matthew has been providing market advice and analysis to new home builders, rental developers, and financial institutions for over 12 years. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Sean and Jason first to the stage.